There we go. Right. It's okay. Professionalism, ladies and gentlemen. Professionalism. So what we're going to do is, obviously, first things first. First thing is first, Rebel.
Yeah.
What's this saying at the bottom here? What is
We
this?
are. So what we are sponsored by is Wraith. It's a healthier alternative to generic canned energy drinks. It's clean, zero sugar, antioxidant rich formula gives you the edge in all your gaming and sports needs. Use code FTSN22 for 10% off because Wraith is absolutely smashing. Product placement is included in this advert.
If you buy two boxes, not boxes, the crate, whatever the tubs, that's the one. You buy 2 tubs. My brain is just not working today. 2 tubs of Wraith, you will receive a handwritten letter from myself and Rebel saying, "Well done, welcome to the club. Now send me one of your tubs." That's what we'll be receiving. But anyway,
Cult.
Yes, cult. Yes, the cult. See, my brain just isn't working. It's been a long day. We're going to get into things. Obviously, it says here Sir Jim steps in. And by the looks of things that are coming out, Rebel, Sir Jim has indeed stepped in. Got something here. So in a meeting on Wednesday, Sir Jim delivered a message alongside Jean-Claude Blanc telling MUFC staff that he is confident Dan Ashworth will be joining the club soon. How important is it for Dan Ashworth to actually, get his feet under the table and start working for Manchester United?
Well, obviously, the sooner you get them in before the summer window, the better, because obviously that allows them to do their due diligence, their work, have their discussions in the background and get ready to rock and roll. I suppose what we're dealing with here is a football man. We have had grossly incompetent Muppets pulling the purse strings in the pursuit of profit and commercial scalability in the past. But to get Dan in now and get him up and running before summer window is vital, because, as we know, Manchester United have been a shambles this year. We're 23 odd points behind Arsenal, which I think is probably the worst we've ever fallen behind league leaders in a long, long time, particularly Arsenal. So it is something that needs to be nipped in the bud quite fast, and Dan has a body of work. And I think we're starting to even see whispers of how much of a scale of a body of work is, which I presume is on the agenda later. But Dan is very familiar to the people that have been brought in. Omar worked with him. I think Blanc is very familiar with him. Sir Jim's very familiar with him. So it's clear that they're putting in a team that can work together, that's familiar with each other, and is keen to get going fast. I don't know if that's the way you see it, though, Colin.
Well, yeah, I think so. Sir Jim has promised us elite, and it seems like he's living up to that at the minute. Jean-Claude Blanc is an elite when it comes into the world of football. Dan Ashworth is an elite when it comes. We're getting Omar Barada as well. The things that they've all done in the individual careers are all coming together to massively, massively help United. Say big up to Tequila. He says big up Cole and the other dude, Rebel. That way. There we go.
Who's Cole?
It's me. I'm Cole, apparently. But big up Tequila, mate. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, this is vitally important that these people come in and get the going, as soon as they possibly can do. I mean, he's come out and said a lot of things today, Sir Jim. Like we'll go on to this one here. He's ordered Man United's non-footballing staff back into the offices in Manchester and London, insisting the club must end its work from home culture. Obviously, that's another massive statement from Sir Jim there. Basically saying, listen, if you're gonna work for Manchester United, you're gonna do it. Oh, Dermo's joined us. Hello, Dermo. Hello.
I wasn't really joining you. I thought you weren't live yet. I was going to come in and say something, but hello. I'm a happy Spurs fan. I've just done a pre-record. I'm just about to put it up there, so I'm a very happy Spurs fan.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, are you staying? Are you going?
I'll go and leave it to the Man United lads to talk because I'll only come here and cause havoc. I'll be like the VAR, man on Sunday's game. I will make a mistake. I would say keep Harry Maguire and sell Marcus Rashford.
Okay, that's enough of that. He said keep Harry Maguire.
The Dermotron 6000 has been fired. He's a Decepticon.
Yeah.
Are you going to behave?
Yes, I will behave. Yeah, for a few minutes anyway.
For a few minutes. Oh dear.
I still can't believe you haven't got Ryan Giggs taking him to court yet for stalking you.
Right. Anyway, as I was saying before, Dermo's come in and caused chaos. Obviously, this work from home culture at Manchester United needs to end. It's been too much of a luxury holiday resort for the members of staff. Sir Jim has come in and said, enough's enough. If you're working for Manchester United, if you want me to pay your wages, actually get working, turn up. Again, how much of a difference is this going to make? I'm going to bring it to you, Rebel, because I know Dermo's probably going to say something inappropriate about it. So I'm going to come to you, Rebel.
Well, as somebody that works in a kind of hybrid situation of working from home and in the office, I'm very pro working from home. But I suppose you have to draw the line when your set piece coach that's brought in to fix all your problematic set pieces has never set foot in Carrington. Because there's no evidence that there's been any bit of set piece coaching done whatsoever at Manchester United Football Club. So I'm even wondering if this guy exists. It's a bit like Chelsea fans and wondering whether or not their expensive midfielder from Southampton actually exists because he hasn't been seen all year.
See, Tequila is saying in the chat here, you can have our set piece coach if you want. Please take him. I think our set piece coach has done just about as much as what yours has, to be fair.
I'm beginning to ask the question, who is he? Is he the same fella that's doing your job? Is he multitasking, trying to do two clubs here?
It must be, Dermot. Before I come to you, Dermot, about it, I'm just going to say, obviously, he says, A up, proper Yorkshireman there, Sheffield United fan. A up, Jamie. How are you doing, mate? He's asking how everyone's doing. How is everyone doing? We all doing okay?
Not bad, no, not bad.
Yeah, I've sneaked into Tottenham's where Ange does his press conferences. That's what I've sneaked into.
Well, Dermo's going to get arrested shortly, so it's all right. Tequila's saying Jaya Rebel. I think he means higher. And he's saying that Dermo came on when he saw me, so now it's 2v2. Fantastic stuff. Dermo, obviously, you missed the first little bit that we did. This part, the staff having to come in and do their jobs. Do you think that will actually make a change at Manchester United?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that sort of the whole idea of being a coach, coaching the players? Isn't it? I mean, I've never known the coach to do it from his sitting room in his pajamas and slippers, doing it from Skype. Do you know it? I don't. Well, they might do it in other countries. No, definitely do it in Ireland because that's how the FAI work. But
breaking news. That's how I'm coaching the Irish team from now on. I'm not going to go fly over. I'm just going to sit there on Skype.
Believe me, Stephen Kenny did that for the last 3 years, and look how it's turned out. But no, a coach that doesn't go in the coach. Are you joking me? Nobody actually seen you're a defensive coach at all.
Yeah, it's Harry Maguire.
I can't believe a club as big as Manchester United that happens there. I could understand like a smaller club like a Burnley, you could probably have a bit of fun with that. But this is Manchester United. This is probably one of the bigger clubs in the world. And your coaches don't even come in to coach. They're doing it remotely.
Wow.
No wonder, no disrespect, no wonder you're in the shit you're in.
Well, we had one of the world's best coaches, and he turned around and told us that, Manchester United is open heart surgery, and certain people within the club didn't like that, so we got rid of him.
Is that the Glazers by any chance? that didn't like that.
That name is banned on this channel. We do not mention those parasites.
Well, I'm just the way I pointed, why I've said that was that they didn't want to spend any money.
Pretty much.
And this is the situation that you find yourselves in, because you haven't invested, you haven't done the surgery that was needed, and I'm sorry to say it's going to get a lot worse for you guys if it's not corrected very soon.
Actually, ironically, Dermot, I'm just looking through the coaching jobs, right? Obviously, Eric Ten Hag, head coach, assistant managers, Stevie speaking with a Dutch accent, McLaren, and Michael van der Gag. We have goalkeeping coach. We have 2 goalkeeping coaches. Our forward coach is Big Benny McCarthy, but there's actually no coach assigned with the specific duty of coaching and organising the defence.
It's Harry Maguire. I'm telling you.
I just can't get my head around one of the biggest clubs in the world doesn't know how. Alex Ferguson, no disrespect to him, and Sir Matt Busby, and all of them must be. Well, Sir Matt Busby must be turning in his grave. Alex Ferguson must be pulling his hair out. And I just don't get it. How can the biggest club in the world be run so badly on both sides? No wonder you guys are angry. I get it. I get it why you're angry.
Well, I mean, you've just mentioned there, obviously, one of the biggest clubs in the world. This does lead me on quite nicely. So, Sir Jim had a staff meeting on Wednesday afternoon, and he's confident that he will soon be leading Manchester United, making them the club of what they were in world football again. How much of a job does, Sir Jim and everyone else that's associated actually have? Because, I mean, we're getting laughed at in transfers. People don't want to deal with Manchester United because of the reputation they have. Agents don't want to talk to Manchester United because of the reputation that's been developed. How much of an actual challenge is this?
Well, for a minute there, actually, agents love us because they get absolutely fleeced us dry. And the scale of the job, I think, is kind of really driven home when not a single executive has been retained in their role. He has got rid of every single one to a man. So that tells you how dysfunctional the setup was. Like, if you can't keep one person that you believe to be competent out of the entire hierarchy that is supposed to be running Manchester United Football Club, you've got a major problem. Like, if Dermot walks into a shop that he wants to take over tomorrow and every single manager has to be gotten rid of because they're useless, that tells you how hard he's going to have to go up in order to get that shop back and functioning. So Manchester United is building from the subfloors below ground zero at the moment. The Dermotron now will take over.
I think a lot of people would like to mute me, to be fair. But no, if you look at it, I mean, I like Sir Jim Ratcliffe as a football fan. If I were a Man United fan, that's what I would want to hear. I would want him here and saying these things. But how can you do that with the club in the mess it's in? There's only one way you've got to do it. You've got to strip everything back to the bare bones and start again. So, as you two are massive Manchester United fans and hard Manchester United fans, very passionate about your club, are you prepared to go through another 10-year or 5-year project? Are you prepared to wait? Or are you going to the point now, we want success and we want it now? How are you two looking at it? Because it's going to take 5 or 6 years to get you back to where you were in any shape or form, like you were under Sir Alex Ferguson, or anywhere near that Manchester United that you were back then.
It's what hashtag trust the process.
Yeah, but basically,
that word.
I know we don't like. I didn't like it at Tottenham. Trust the process, but we've got to be patient under Ange. But where you've looked at us and we've gone down to the abyss and looked at the bottom of the barrel. I think this is where you are now. You're at the bottom of your barrel. And the only way for both clubs is, and I know Colin shaking his head, but I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has got the right intentions. It's about him putting the right people in the right place, doing the right jobs, and running Manchester United how Manchester United should be run. There's a way of running Man United, and it's not being run the way Man United should be run. There's a sort of, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but there's a way of doing things, isn't there, at United?
There is. I agree with you from that front, Dermot, but I suppose he doesn't have 10 years. I'll be honest with you. After the shite that we've been in, he doesn't have 10 years to get back to ultimate levels. Like, he has to make significant impact early in that this intention and the plan has to be set out. We might not be winning championships in the next year, the next 2 years, even the next 3 years, but we have to be getting close to being a Premier League challenger by the end of year 3. And Tequila said the same thing there, because number one, it's likely that the Glazers will have the whatever processes that is in place to be triggered at the end of this 36-month period, or whatever it is that it's in the contract, where Sir Jim will either have to come up with the funds to buy the rest of Glazer shares, or it'll be back on public auction. So there's definitely a pressure there. And I think, Colm, you probably have this on the list. We're talking about 23 of the 26-man squad, including this man, getting shown door allegedly in the summer.
Yeah, I do have it on my list. We are gonna come to that at some point. I mean, how bad is it that 23 of 26 players have been told if an offer comes in, we will listen to it. Manchester United, you should be basically what the likes of Van Nistelrooy was, Rooney was, Ronaldo was. They got told every single year, you're not going. Hands off to everybody, hands off. Whereas basically we're just doing a fire sale. That's all we're doing at the moment. This is all we want. But before we go into that, because I have got a couple of people that I want to get your opinions on what we should do with, what we shouldn't do with. I do have this one as well. Now, this might upset Rebel, so his ears, you might see steam come out of his ears, because it looks like Erik ten Hag may be staying for at least another 6 months or so, as Ineos believe that the United executive team above Erik ten Hag did not provide him with the greatest chance to succeed, as well as lack of clear alternatives. Now, the lack of clear alternatives is in regards to players bought, etc., etc. So it looks like Ineos are giving Ten Hag the thumbs up to stay. Now, I know we have been very vocal. Me and Rebel aren't best pleased with performances that have been put out by Ten Hag. Before Rebel goes on and explodes on the internet, I'm going to come to you, Dermo, about this. As an outsider looking in, would you agree with that statement? He hasn't been provided any kind of help and he's been sent out as a lamb to slaughter?
No. I think that, look, I'm going to be very honest at what I've just heard, and I think that's BS. How many managers, from my own experience at Tottenham, were sacked because they didn't get Champions League football, or they haven't met the requirements of what their job was when they took over the job at Spurs? Ten Hag did great in his first season. Them players are not playing for Ten Hag. But saying that, I was saying that a lot of time, it's time you look at the players, not the manager. And I wonder if there's an argument now, if Ten Hag gets in the players he wants and leave it to Ten Hag to run it how he wants to do it, then you may get a difference. But for me, I think Ten Hag's gone. He should go. You need to clean slate. But a lot of them players have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, did we do enough? Did we do everything for that shirt? Did we give everything for them fans? And the answer to that is no. So you can't blame Ten Hag for everything, but results don't lie. It's a results business. If you don't get the results, you're shown the door. And it doesn't matter, players or no players. A manager is only as good as his last result. And Ten Hag has not been good enough. From an outside looking in.
No, you are right. Performances haven't been good enough. And Rebel, you can vouch for this. We've seen success at United. We've seen managers win trophies at United and then proceed to be fired anyway because of the lack of success. Well, lack of performance, should I say, from the players and, player power FC and all this and all that. What's your take on this? Do you think that they're going to give him at least until Christmas next year, or do you think that it's too late and they're just doing it as PR press?
Well, I will say that he essentially did have Doink the Clown, Beavis and Butthead in the executive above him, but as Dermot rightly pointed out, that isn't an excuse. Now, if the choice is that bumbling idiot Gareth Southgate or Eric Ten Hag for 6 months, I'm keeping Eric. I don't want Gareth Southgate anywhere near my football club because I think that would probably drive me over the cliff edge whatsoever altogether. But I suppose when you look at this and you look at Manchester United Football Club, you did point out that managers have been sacked after winning trophies. See you, Dermot Rant. We talk to you later.
I'm going to pop out. Enjoy the rest of your stream, guys. And
before you go,
what?
Very quickly, where can people find you, Dermot?
You can find me in TNCFC till I die, but please like and subscribe here if you can, guys. This channel is going to go places. It's great, two lads, two really passionate Manchester United fans, and really two good Irishmen as well. And I'm looking forward to a next stream we do together because I love doing stream with you guys. So yeah, please like and subscribe and everyone get involved because I know Colin and Rebel put a lot of hard work into these shows. So please show them a lot of love and a lot of likes and subscribe. So come on, you Spurs.
God, he had to say that, didn't he, at the end?
Okay, come on, you boys in green.
That'll do.
That's acceptable.
All right, speak to you later, lads.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Take care.
But to go back to the point you made about managers being sacked, we had a Dutch manager walk into a post FA Cup press conference, plant FA Cup on table, and was fired following day. So definitely, I would take any sentiment with regards to the manager not quite at face value, because it probably means that they're just trying to stretch it out, see what their options are. Now, they do need, though, to probably take on the if they can only take out on one job this year, and that is the executive and the playing squad. Maybe we write the squad and have a squad that is functional for a successor, if not for Ten Hag, and we take it on the chin, especially if we don't think we can get value in the market, because it would be absolutely untenable to get a Gareth Southgate. It just cannot happen. And there's a few other Muppets around there as well. Like, there was one time I would have given my wisdom teeth for Tuchel to be Manchester United Football Club manager. But the way I've looked at his moving through his career, barring one job, I think it was the second job in his career, he's been gone either after 18 months or 2 years from his job. So that kind of paints a picture. I'd forgive him Paris Saint-Germain because nobody seems to last at Paris Saint-Germain, or nobody seems to be, they seem to be damaged actually by Paris Saint-Germain, ironically enough. But he had Munich, he had Chelsea, and all these clubs said, no, my friend, not for us. Like, there's clearly something wrong. David Moyes, I wish him luck in his retirement, because I think West Ham are probably going to say, see you after this year to him. So fair play to Moisey. He won a Europa conference. Was it conference?
Yes.
Or was it? Yeah.
Conference League, I believe.
Like, he wasn't the same manager after he left Manchester United. The job was too big for him. and I think it overawed him and probably took him a long time to recover from. He became very much a journeyman manager after that. But Manchester United Football Club have an issue. We paid 70 million for this man that's stalking me behind me. We paid 90 million for Anthony. We paid ridiculous transfer fees for players because we have been incapable of negotiating. So I think Dermot made a good point. And you kind of supported by saying, we need to be saying to the likes of your Garnachos or whoever your top talent is, we're the biggest club that you're going to play for. We do not want to let you go. At some point, if you want to go home to your motherland and play for one of your home clubs, we will support you in that and we will make it happen. But right now, in your prime, you're going to be wearing that Manchester United Football Club jersey. And you need to be kind of refreshing it every year where you bring in one or two players to give them the move up the keister to kind of attack the season again. And you maybe want one or two coming up from your youth team where you can say, right, lads, we're going to expose you to first team football. We're going to give you opportunities throughout the season to come off bench or do whatever and develop these players. But we're not functioning on any front. Our current squad is toxic. We're not bringing in Casemiro was one of those players because he actually did punt them up the behind last year. But unfortunately for him, age is taking its toll on him. But it's a sad case that Manchester United seems to be doing a kind of put out a fire rather than long-term planning.
Yeah. I mean, Tequila's asking here as well. United known now more as a top 6 club.
Top 6? That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah. Top half. We're a top half club at the moment. Obviously, there's more and more things coming out every hour. Manchester United are fully expecting Jadon Sancho to leave the club, which is a shame because Sancho at Dortmund was absolutely amazing. I mean, Sancho at Dortmund now is performing well. Clearly, I'm not going to belittle Sancho, but maybe he just wasn't ready for that jump to the Premier League.
Can I just actually make a point on Sancho that I want to put to you and actually ask you about? Bear in mind what his wages were at Dortmund when we bought him. We multiplied it by 5 in his Manchester United contract. We've repeated this mistake multiple times, but does that kind of a jump in scale in terms of wage make player lazy?
You know what? I think it does. I really do. I mean, Anthony, for instance, we could symbolize it to Anthony. Because I'm going to put Sancho to one side because he's not at the moment in time a Manchester United player. He's playing at Dortmund. Yes, we're still paying his wages, but he's at Dortmund. So I'll go to Anthony. He was on, what was it, £20,000?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that at Ajax, and we've given him a massive bumper contract. I think it's somewhere around 200,000, to be fair. Weekly wage. Here we go. I loved it. Yeah, £200,000. We're now paying him for what exactly? What has he actually done to deserve a £200,000? I think players need to be accepting of when you first come to United. Don't care who you are. You could be scoring 75 goals in the Brazilian league, and you could be the next Pele. But until you prove that you can do it in the Premier League, you're on £20,000 a week. And the more your goals you score, the better you play, the more wages you'll get. Start playing rubbish and start underperforming, we're going to knock your wages down. Right. That's how it should be.
Actually, Tequila said there it depends on the mentality of the player. Let me put it this way, Tequila, right? Myself and Colin were two rival GMs for two rival clubs. We're looking to sign you. Colum is Ed Woodward, and he offers you $500,000 a week. I look at you and I look at the market value of what a player of your ability is doing, and I say, right, he was obviously grossly underpaid because he was on a youth contract at Joe Bloggs FC. I'm looking to bring you in for 95k, and that would be seen as what the market is. If the market of the contract is so off from one club, who else is willing to pay that? Like, you're only fighting yourself. So I think there's an element, obviously, yeah, if you're kind of going, right, Aguero has been shooting the lights out for the last decade, and we want him to do 2 seasons with us where he wins us the Premier League, the Robin Van Persie job, basically, when we took him up from Arsenal. That's one thing. But if you're bringing in a raw, unproven player in a Premier League team, and none of the other clubs, if they were interested in that player, would be even anywhere in the same stratosphere as you in terms of what's being offered, I think that's where the problem is. You've got possibly a player that might be able to carry it, but at the same time, our executive was out of touch with reality in terms of tabling that sort of a contract in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to obviously bringing in the people like Dan Ashworth and Blanc and, everybody else that is getting brought in by Sir Jim so they can deal with all this because, we went and wasted so much money on players that haven't been performing, and I keep bringing his name up, but for instance, Anthony, and we're paying £200,000 a week and everything. And there was no other option. There was no, there was nobody going to Ten Hag. Look, maybe not Anthony, but here's some players that we think are like Anthony, just as good, but we can get them for, £30 million instead. These kind of things. So that's going to make a massive difference if we can do it. I kind of have to blame Ten Hag because he's the one that pushed it to go to these, and he's the one. Obviously, I know he never sorted out the contracts and whatnot and all this, but surely Ten Hag should have gone. Well, maybe he's not worth £200,000 a week.
True. I was just curious actually because Keelan mentioned CR7 in his first time at Manchester United Football Club, and I'm reading here that we gave him a contract for £35,000, which would have been double the £17,500 that he would have been on previously. And when you think about the fact that probably 100 grand was probably top into the market back then, it probably was a lot for a raw youngster. So I can see what you're saying in that it didn't affect him, but then Ronaldo was one of these driven professionals that would spend 6 till 9 in the gym before you even start the team workout.
Yeah, I mean, when you're comparing players, you got to be quite careful. I mean, Ronaldo and Messi are generational, once in a lifetime kind of talents, whereas Sancho, or not Sancho, Anthony, for instance, I could probably find somebody with a very similar set skills playing in the Championship who's earning £15,000 a week instead of £200,000 a week.
Would you take him at Danny?
No, I wouldn't. I actually wouldn't, because the players that we've got, Molyneux, and when they've got somebody else on loan as well. I think they're better players. They actually care. It shows that they actually care. But that's by the by anyway. I don't want to be picked on or abused for picking on Anthony too much. So we're going to go into the last little sections of the show now. I'm going to bring this up. You actually pointed this out to me. Benfica are still planning to trigger the buy option for Alvaro Fernandez, €6 million. A shame, or is it just a case of he just wasn't going to be good enough?
Look, I'm not going to touch on whether or not we gave him the chance, whether or not he was good enough for Manchester United Football Club. We've let players like James Garner and others go in the past. What I am going to pick holes in, though, is that clubs like Chelsea, despite all their flaws in terms of their spending, when they are moving on youth players, they ain't going to be talking about no paltry €6 million for a guy that's literally going to be playing in a Champions League club for the next 3 or 4 years, whatever his contract is. They're going to be looking for 15, 20 million for that sort of a player from Benfica. So I think the problem for me in this one is that we're letting young assets go for a pittance. We're not getting the value for the players that aren't quite making the grade. Like, I suppose you have to grade them. You'll have your A grade youngsters that are possibly United players. You'll have your B grade youngsters that should make you top book when you move them on, and down along until you kind of gone, right, we're releasing you. You're not good enough, but keep your head up. You've now got the Manchester United name on your summary of employment, and that should do you a job of whether you end up with a Danny or a Woking or whatever tier you ultimately end up in. But I think the biggest problem with this 6 million is that this player would not be sold by any of the serious clubs for €6 million.
No, I think you're right there. To be fair, people are seeing. I don't want to see this yet. No, go away. I mean, I don't think you were ever going to break in as such. I mean, how many games did he even play for us? Can you remember how many games he actually played?
I think it was just 1 or 2 League Cups, actually. Let me just do quickly here. Alvaro Fernandez.
I mean, we'd love him right now because we haven't got any bloody fit defenders, but
that's true. But
fantastic right now.
Just stats. Here we go. So for Manchester United Football Club, he has played.
A total of 2 times.
I can't even actually see how many he's actually played. I don't think he's actually made too many first team appearances by the looks of it.
Well, there's no wonder why he's going. But I wish him the best of luck. You know, I always want to see United players do well, especially young United players, because you know they're only young. It takes time, and maybe, like you said, they develop into world beaters. Maybe they don't. Like, I'm not going to shirt away from it. Mason Greenwood. You know, many people have called Mason Greenwood at the time a generational talent because he looked like he was going to be that, but he's not going to be at Manchester United next season. We know this. He can't. He won't even be in the Premier League next season. But I've got an interesting question. I actually saw somebody else ask this question. Now I'm going to ask it to you. 2 years down the line, obviously, we've got Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood on the books at the moment. 2 years down the line, what do? Do you keep Mason Greenwood, despite everything that's happened right now? Do you keep Mason Greenwood and turn him into, well, who's going to be more likely, and help him turn into the £80 million player? Or do you keep Rashford and hope that he turns into the £80 million player? Because it was quite an interesting conversation that they were having about it. You know, Mason Greenwood's obviously younger. I think he's a better player than Marcus Rashford, if I'm going to be honest with you. But what you're Sir Jim, you're Sir Jim Radcliffe. You have Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford, and you know in 2 years' time you need to sell one of them. Which one are you selling now for quick money so you can rebuild, and which one are you going to hold on to and try and get the £80 million for?
Okay, let's just say I know nothing about what happened in the background off the field. It's clear that Mason Greenwood's the better player. He's going to be the more attacking player, and you could see it even in his play when he did wear a United shirt, that he was the main threat, and he'd have done bits with Garnacho now, operating off the other side. But I think the reality is, given what we do know about what happened, given the fan sentiment as it stands, there is no way that Mason Greenwood ever comes back and wears the Manchester United badge again. And I don't think he even wants to come back, because I think, from his own personal view, he probably thinks United betrayed him. Now, I'm not going to get into the semantics of whether we did or we didn't betray him in the way that we treated the situation that had transpired. But Mason Greenwood, it's a fact of life, he's going to be gone. He's going to be sold, and it's probably going to be somewhere less than what he's worth, because we're just going to try and get whatever we can and move on. I don't think Marcus Rashford's going to see the next season as a Manchester United football player either, though, to be honest with you. I think he needs to get out of Manchester for the sake of his own career at this stage, because all the street politics that he's playing, which I commend. I have a lot of time for players that will try and help the fortunes of those that are not as fortunate as them. I think there's too much of a media circus in England, and I think he too would benefit from going abroad. And our wage book would probably benefit from him going abroad.
Yeah.
So again, you're probably looking at making 25, 30 million just to move that wage off the books.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, and I'll put it out there right now. You know, this channel, if you are sensitive about certain subjects, is probably not going to be the channel for you, because we're not going to hide from anything. If there's an uncomfortable subject, as long as it's not, you know, really bad or being investigated still, and etc., etc., we will probably talk about it on here, which is why I brought up the Mason Greenwood issue. But what I'm going to do now, Rebel, is I've got a couple of players you can already see. Now, there is a running theme through these things that I'm going to bring up, because I was a bit of a moron. And it's been a running theme throughout the whole show, if you've been paying close attention. So, I just want your honest assessment of the season that they've had so far, and whether you would keep them or sell them, or, you know, loan them out, whatever. So, I'm going to bring up the first player, and you will see. Well, you won't see in this one. So, Harry Maguire, 22 appearances, 2 goals, 4 clean sheets this season. Stepped up massively over the last couple of games when we've needed him, to be fair. What do you do with Harry Maguire?
Right. I'm looking at him in terms of that my centre backs are Varane, Martinez, and Camboila and Lindelof. And I'm kind of going, we've got very much a core of centre backs that are very injury prone, and this makes me nervous. Now, excluding the youngster, Harry Maguire, oddly enough, is the least injury prone of the lot. So, in a world where I have to accept that we're not going to sign 3 centre backs or 2 centre backs, even, because I think Camboila will probably be one of the 4 next year, it is likely that Harry Maguire needs to be kept. Now, there's one small craw in my throat that makes me uncomfortable with that, in that I'm not sure the wage that we're paying Harry Maguire justifies that retention. But if we are to leave money on the table in terms of a wage being spoiled, at least have it to a player that can play for us. Whereas I don't believe some of the other centre-backs could possibly stay fit enough for long enough throughout the season.
Yeah, no, I completely get where you're coming from. Right, now you're going to start seeing the running theme here, because I don't know why it did it, because it didn't do it when I swear it wasn't there, but it is. So next player we're going to go talk about is Raphael Varane, with the running theme of Harry Maguire, you know, watching him from behind. 21 appearances, 1 goal, 3 clean sheets for Varane. Age is a big factor in Varane, but do you keep him, or is it time to get rid?
Okay. At his current contract price, no. I think, again, injuries have started to creep up on him. And if we're to learn anything from Casemiro last year, is that decline in the way that those injuries can manifest and affect a player could be quite steep. However, so there's no background logic to this. I think Camboila could actually develop into an absolute demon underneath him. So if we can get Varane to stay somewhere in the 180k per week range, it's money well spent to kind of develop the next centre back. So I can see a logic to try and get him to sign a new contract. It's whether or not he will be prepared to accept what the new executive at Manchester United Football Club deem as a salary that they can tolerate.
Yeah. I'm going to change the name of this show to the Maguire Allegiance Society or something. So you just spoke about Casemiro, so let's bring Casemiro up. You know, 21 appearances, even 1 goal, 2 assists. We've been seeing recently, especially compared to last season, a massive drop off in Casemiro. what are you doing with Casemiro? Is it time just to say thank you very much, but your services are no longer required?
I'm going to kind of use the graph last season compared to this season. And if we have a similar fall off again next season, he's not value for money at the wages that he's on. That's the sad and simple fact of it. But he is a serial winner. That's beyond doubt. His career is legendary. That's going to be beyond question. But for Manchester United Football Club, the best thing possible would be now if some Saudi Arabian Pro League team came in and was prepared to eat those wages, because I don't believe there's any European club that would be prepared to take on the wages that they sit, and that would mean that Manchester United would end up paying for somebody, or at least part of somebody's wages, to pay somewhere else. So I think with Casemiro, he came in, he did everything that he promised last season, but we've seen it with Fabinho at Liverpool, and I think the risk of him having a similar scale of drop-off from this season to next season as he did from last season to this season is just too much of a risk to take, and we probably will have to be realistic in our transfer value.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really do. I've just realised what this next picture is going to look like. It's only just hit me right this second what it's going to look like, and it's not going to look great. It really isn't. So please, anybody that's got a dirty mind, please keep it. Victor Lindelof. Listen, right. I don't know why he's done it, okay? Victor Lindelof, a guy who, God, has been around for the longest of time. 19 appearances, 1 goal, 4 clean sheets. Again, he's proved, he can be an important player. But again, is his time at United over? Should he move for his career?
Well, I'm just thinking again, just looking at this season, and he's appeared, maybe half a dozen times over the course of the season.
19.
19? Okay. Oh,
19.
Sorry, yeah. Just the Harry Maguire thing, it seems like he's trying to assassinate all these competitions so that he can stay at Manchester United Football Club. It's like he's appearing behind, the lad from Scream, just to take them all out. But Agent 37 is alive and well, lads. But Lindelof, I think the time has come that he will move on. And again, looking at the way he's played in the Premier League, at times he's been good. He's been decent. Actually, I think his best centre defensive partner was actually Varane, because the two of them actually complemented each other quite well when they did get on field together. But just in terms of those injuries that seem to be kind of keeping him on and off field, and in terms of, I suppose, the fact that he's a year older again next season, he's probably going to be on the bottom end of the list of who Ineos is prepared to keep in terms of their centre-backs. I'd imagine Martinez and Maguire, amazingly, will be the top two, then Varane, and then Lindelof will be kind of the man that they'd say, look, any price that we can get, we'll take it, we'll move him on. Varane is out of contract, so that might be taken out of our hands. So it could be a fairly simple decision.
Diego Dalot, one of our best defenders, I think, especially over recent seasons. Anyway, 32 appearances, got a goal, 6 clean sheets as well for him this season. Should we be looking for another right back? So obviously, we have got Wan-Bissaka who can play there.
Okay, Harry Maguire, first of all, you don't need to take out Dalot. You don't play right back, so he's not competition for you.
Well, see, I'm going to stick these two together, actually. I'm going to stick these two together because they're both in the same position. So Wan-Bissaka, 18 and 2 clean sheets.
Okay, here's the thing for me. The problem, as I see it, is obviously we can't have Wan-Bissaka playing left back because I think when you have an attacking back like Dalot, you probably need your back that's operating on the left, which should be Luke Shaw, clearly enough, because he is of that particular mold doing that. And that helps you form your system. Whereas if you've got kind of one ultra defensive that tries to go forward and muddles through it because some of his distribution of space isn't the best. I love Spider-Man. He's a great player for our club. He's put in crucial worldy tackles that I can't believe he's managed at times. But I don't see where he fits in if we're going more attack-minded.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, Wan-Bissaka is Bambi on ice.
Yeah,
that's what he is. You know, he looks like he struggles to do that side of the game, which I think it's quite strange, to be fair, because he has got the capabilities and the talents to be able to do that. I just think he prefers being an out-and-out defender.
Well, he was an attack god at Crystal Palace. Like the returns that he had at Crystal Palace in that year that caused us to buy him was absolutely phenomenal. He was scoring goals. He was getting the assists. He was doing everything that you would like to get excited about in a wingback. Chicken Royale. Oh, Lord. I can't compare it to Chicken Royale. Come on.
Not to Spider-Man. So, who are you getting rid of out of Dalot and Wan-Bissaka? Are you getting rid of both of them?
Wan-Bissaka probably. I think Wan-Bissaka, unless we decide to go with a 3 at the back and he tucks in, which possibly could be the case, depending on what the stratagem is. If we're doing that and keeping Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, and obviously we're looking for someone then to understudy to Dalot and to possibly either put Shaw on bench or to work under Shaw in rotation on the other wing, because I think it has to be it has to be a more modern back. So I think Wan-Bissaka, unless we tuck him in as part of a back 3, his time could be limited at Manchester United Football Club. So I'm moving Wan-Bissaka on the assumption that we won't change to a back 3, and I'm retaining Dalot because, let's face it, we need to. We're not going to get 4. We're not going to get 4 wing backs.
No. I mean, you were just saying there about somebody that's understudy to Shaw. We have somebody that's understudy to Shaw. He is the invisible man this season, and that is Malacia. Obviously, I think he's been out injured for pretty much the entire season. But what do we do with Malacia? Because when he did come, he looked a little bit nervy. He didn't look as if he was capable of doing the role of what a Luke Shaw does. But is it too soon to write him off?
I'll be honest with you. Obviously, there was a lot of cloak and dagger over what was going on with this man during the pre-season into the start of the season. And then we learned sometime in January/February that there was a setback and he had to go back under the knife. I would fear that this has hurt his development quite some bit. And whether or not he's a usable piece now for a Manchester United squad has to come into question. Look, the lad came in under the radar. He wasn't expensive. And I think I find it hard. I think he'd have to work very hard to kind of keep his place at Manchester United Football Club, because he's missed over a year of football by the time next season rolls around. And we have seen time and time again players that haven't been the same after a bad injury. Just look at Eriksen. After Andy Carroll put his big donkey foot on him he hasn't been the same player since.
No, he hasn't. That's a shame because Ericsson is such a good player. You know, if it weren't for that tackle, I think he would have probably been playing a lot more this season than what he actually has done. I mean, he's knackered after 60 minutes. Bless him now. We've only got 2 more to go through. I'm going to bring this one up because I think people saw this one anyway. Bruno Fernandes, obviously, he's come out recently and said, you know, he's not going to make his decision. If the club wants him to stay, then he'll stay because he wants to stay. If the club decide to move him on, he's not going to decide until after the Euros anyway. 33 appearances, 10 goals, 7 assists for the captain of Manchester United. What's your thoughts on this then?
I'm just going to talk about Bruno's career as a whole at Manchester United. Since he arrived under, I think it was Ole signed him, he's been ran into the ground. He was thrown out in every Mickey Mouse Cup game, every possible game that he didn't need to be out there. He was out there. And I think it's taken a toll on the man. I'm not going to lie. And obviously the season that Cristiano arrived in, it seemed like the system didn't suit him, for want of a better word. But I think, look, Bruno Fernandes definitely has no shame in picking up his wages. He's one of the players that actually always gives it his best when he's out there. Look, rival fans will be unhappy with him because he does do a bit of to the refs. He is known as the whiner on Manchester United. What age is Bruno actually now? Is he 30 yet?
I believe he is. I'll just double check for you. I'm sure he is 30 now.
Oh, he's 30 in May or September, I should say. So
September, yeah. So he's 30 this year.
So I suppose what we have to do is look at it and kind of go, right, is Bruno Fernandes going to be the centerpiece for the rebuild? Is Bruno Fernandes going to want to stay around in a situation where Manchester United Football Club might be a mid-table club, not challenging for the silverware for probably the 2 key seasons of the remainder of his career, which is his 30 to 31 and 31 to 32 seasons? So, I suppose I'm not going to say whether he should stay or go because I'm happy either way. I think this now is about the right decision for the player, the right decision for the club, and whatever that turns out to be, I'm not going to speak out against it or for it because I think Bruno has earned United supporters' support regardless of whether he's wearing a jersey next season or whether he's going home to Spain or going back to Spain to be near home in Portugal and plying his trade in La Liga or wherever he decides. But I think Bruno has earned enough respect from Manchester United that it would not be right for us to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, Bruno gets on my tits. He really does at times because it's just the way he is, though. It's, you know, European players are like that. So I do get it. And I think the development of Mainu coming in as well has helped him focus on what he needs to focus on. He's not having to run around like a headless chicken anymore as such. You know, coming all the way back and playing defence like we saw against Liverpool in the cup fight, in the semi-finals and all that kind of, well, quarterfinals, wasn't it? Sorry, I put Liverpool further ahead than what they actually got. So yeah, I wouldn't mind Bruno staying. To be fair, I think he is one of the only people that can raise their head high. Especially the last couple of seasons, anyway. Last one today. I thought I'd keep it last because it's going to be interesting to see what you're thinking. My mind's already made up. Everybody knows my mind is already made up. Marcus Rashford, Mr. MBE, 31 appearances, 7 goals, and I put his shots there as well. 61 shots this season, and he's converted 7 goals. What are you doing with Marcus?
Look, I have rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Marcus because my mother, God rest her soul, loved him. She used to call him Rashers because when he exploded onto the scene, she was still watching Manchester United football games with me. And he was getting big goals for the club, even though the club was at one of its lows at the time. We weren't achieving what we wanted to achieve in the Moisey/Mourinho eras. Sorry, that was Van Gaal first, wasn't it? Van Gaal era. But Marcus, really, after looking like he was turning a corner last season, earning a increase in wages. I don't agree with the increase that he got. I think that kind of was just balmy mismanagement by our executive, but he had earned the right to negotiate his contract at the end of last season, even though I felt that he burnt out a bit because, again, Manchester United was so heavily reliant on goals from Marcus Rashford. It wasn't even funny. But this season, when you're after getting the contract, when you're looking to proclaim you are the man at Manchester United Football Club, you had a striker that was brought in that you should have been, this striker right here actually, that you should have been able to do bits with. We saw for the first, third, maybe a bit more of the season, he wasn't getting a sniff of football. The distribution that was going into him was catatonic. And he's looking at players now coming through ranks, the likes of Kobe Mainoo, the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Kambuala. These young men are hungry. They want to get forward in their careers. And I don't believe Marcus has the same drive in him anymore. And I fear that this season might damage our ability to move him on, and that we will be still carrying part of his wages if we do move him on.
Yeah, well, I mean, PSG have already announced that they're rolling themselves out of a move for Rashford simply because of his wage demands. By the looks of things, Tottenham are not in for Marcus Rashford. I think he'd like to go there. To be fair,
I'd probably trade him for Dyer. Yeah,
he's at Bayern Munich now, isn't he, Dyer?
Oh, he is too, actually. Yeah.
So we can't. We'll trade him for Mickey van der Ven. Mickey van der Ven. You have Rashford. We'll have Van der Ven.
Yeah, that'll do.
I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean,
sorry, tequila.
I don't know where to put myself with Rashford because he has, like you said, we have relied on him heavily, but it looks like he's fallen out of love with football. That's what it looks like when he's on the pitch, and he's stopping people like Garnacho playing on his preferred side, and that's stopping people like Ahmad getting a game, for instance. Personally, I would like Rashford to move on. That's what I want to happen. I want him to move on, but I'm pretty much self-resigned to the fact that Rashford will be here next season, and he'll be here the season after, and the season after, and the season after.
Can I ask the final question? Actually, you mentioned Ahmad, and given that he had an incredible career in his development last season in Championship.
Yeah,
he was coming in with confidence. He was coming in with, I suppose, a lot of drive to make his mark this season. He scored that huge goal against the Scousers for us. And obviously he had to serve a suspension afterwards. That's grand. But he hasn't really got a sniff since. Are we looking at another Garner situation where he gets spirited off for half nothing to an Everton?
I think that is exactly what's going to happen. I think he's going to decide, what is nearly 21, is he now? Or something on those lines. How old is he? He might be a bit younger than that, to be fair. No, he's 21. Yeah, he's 21. How many more years has he got where he can sit on the bench and not get game time, Part of me wants him to go out on loan to go and get some Premier League first team experience. Go to one of the teams that have come up from the Championship, for instance, or a mid-table side, a Wolverhampton, something like that.
Ipswich actually would be ideal, considering
Yeah,
there's a former United coach there.
Exactly. This is what I mean. Get him some Premier League experience, and then if he's, you can do your research on him, then you can watch him, watch how he plays, get reports back. Because we know that's what the coaches do. They send reports back. Ahmad's done this, and this. He's doing well. However, he's lacking this, and this. We know all this already. And if by the end of the loan spell he's not up to the quality, then yes, okay, fine. Let's, sell him if that's what the case is. But let's not lose another promising, talented youngster because we don't play him. Let him go out there and get some experience, but let's keep him. Let's send him out on loan and not actually get rid of him permanently.
True. And final question, because I know you've been driving the hot seat all day, so I want to get my revenge at the end. Realistically, right, we talked about 23 players of squad being put up for sale, in inverted commas. What is the maximum amount that will not cause absolute chaos next season and make us unable to function because there's so many changes that we could actually realistically move on?
Jeez, now you're asking me a question here. Let's have a look. So, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just counting the players that I think are going at the moment. So I think there's 10 players that are definitely going to go. Obviously, some of them are out of our control anyway, such as Martial, Eriksen, Varane. These kind of players are out of our control anyway. Heaton, he'll be another one that I think is going to go. So
he's confirmed his retirement, actually, hasn't he?
Yeah, this is what I mean. So, I think any more than those 10, I think we're going to be in serious problems. I really do. And obviously, those 10s include, for me, Heaton, Victor Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Evans, Eriksen, Martial, Varane. Amrabat, I've counted in that as well because he's obviously going to be going back. Casemiro.
Bindir's probably going to go as well, actually. I think he wants to go back to Turkey.
Yeah, Bindir's probably going to go. This is what I mean. So, all right, 10. I don't think we can get rid of more than 10. But we're not getting money for a lot of them.
So, in terms of buying players, then, we're probably looking at having to spread whatever the budget is over a larger quantum. So, we're probably going to be signing players that quite possibly we will never have heard of, and we'll be kind of going, oh, okay, who's that? Like, I'm actually only guessing that maybe we might get one player at 40 million as our big signing of the season, and then we could be looking at a half dozen 10 million players, 10 million pound players, because we need people that are willing to work and that will probably be able to serve a function for a season, because we're going to be plugging a lot of holes. Like, we're like Swiss cheese at the moment, our squad, in terms of where there's gaps. Actually, and speaking of Swiss cheese, and I'm going to let you end after this, I promise. Mason Mount came in with a lot of gusto. He had been performing well under Frank Lampard for Derby, then at Chelsea, had made his mark in an England jersey to an extent. But I think we've benefited from seeing him, 9 times in a United shirt. And I think if you were to add up the total minutes that he's played, it counts to 3 90-minute games, roughly.
Yep. Well, sorry, I've just got a report. Mason Mount will play this weekend. It's going to start. Bruno Fernandes is getting a rest, and he's going to. What? Sorry, I've got more breaking news. Mason Mount is injured again. He's just picked up a pencil and he's out for the remainder of the season. That's basically Mason Mount. Yeah, as is Scott McTominay. Oh, God. Oh, we ain't got a team. They're going to be calling me and you up, Rebel, at this rate to come and play. Honestly. But that's going to be it for now. We've been going for a lot longer than what I actually expected, to be fair. But we will be back next week. It's only a one-a-week show at the moment until we get things going a little bit more. Rebel, where can people find you, mate?
Well, you can find me at Kerry_Rebel on X or Twitter, whatever you prefer to call it yourselves. And of course, here on Spotlight MUFC / the Football Sports Network for as long as we're hovering over both camps.
Yep, fantastic. And obviously, you know where you find me, guys. I'm on Full Time Sports Network. I'm on X at FTSN.com. My Twitter handle is on the screen. Obviously, right here as well for all of your Manchester United talk. So, yeah, from me and Rebel, thank you all so much for chilling with us and taking part and getting chat with us. And we will catch you all next week. Bye.
Never stop, every shot from the top, we're gonna